Are you a victim of gang stalking? Have you been unfairly and unjustly targeted to a degree that makes no logical sense? Has everyone around you dismissed your claims, downplayed your intuition? Anytime you tried to speak to anyone about being targeted, were you met with skepticism, or worse, gaslighting? You are not alone. And this video is going to validate everything that you already knew, but haven't ever been able to prove. Not yet, anyways. So let's get into it. Over time, the term gang stalking has been reframed as a kind of collective paranoia, something only people with, quote, mental illness supposedly experience. It's similar to how conspiracy theory was turned into a phrase that automatically discredits truth seekers, even though that's not what it originally meant. Recently, for those who have the ability to see through the propaganda and discern truth from fabrication, there has been more and more evidence coming to light showing that all of the most common conspiracy theories are actually true. Gang stalking has become known as a term used by individuals who are, quote, paranoid, or their personal favorite, mentally ill. So let's call it what it really is. Masonic targeting. Although gang stalking is a government-based program that was supposedly originally implicated for protection against acts of terrorism, it seems to be used mostly, if not solely, to target individuals who are viewed to hold some kind of spiritual power or ranking, otherwise known as the chosen ones. I'm not going to get into the relations to gang stalking and the Freemasons or occult involvement. I'll save that for another video. But I am going to share with you this excerpt from A Guide for Gang Stalking, written by Dr. Ronnie Kild, MD, who was the chief medical officer for Northern Finland, where she became aware of the government's gang stalking program. She wrote a book called A Bright Light on Black Shadows, exposing the targeted individual program that included the training manual for gang stalking. In this book, Chapter 18 is an overview of harassment methods used by FBI's COINTELPRO, Operation Gladio, covert community recruits, and stay behind armies, or the instruction manual for community gang stalkers. So I'm going to read you this chapter. Number 1, general. Operations in general are of the active surveillance type. Passive surveillance is watching a target covertly to obtain information about the target. Active surveillance can include information gathering, but it also includes the agent making the target aware that they are under surveillance. Beyond active surveillance, agents perform acts to keep the target uncomfortable around the clock. Although operations are silently approved of and covered for by the official justice system, they are not seen as criminal in nature by citizens who do not have a strong sense of right and wrong. Agents must take great care that each and every act of punishment is deniable. This means that should the target complain to police or any other officials, friends, or neighbors, family members, or doctors, the nature of the punishment must be seen as the target's, quote, overactive imagination, or, better yet, an indication the target is mentally ill. The system has worked for years to recruit the medical establishment to help maintain deniability, and today, most targets are immediately labeled as mentally ill and often forced onto antipsychotic medication when they complain. But their agents must still do their part skillfully to perform acts of punishment so that almost anyone the target complains to will deny a crime against the target has taken place. As an agent, you will be trained in how to do this. The system has been blessed with advanced technology, which enables heavy punishment at times the target is in their home, silently, through walls, and this is very deniable. Agents must pass their initial training and demonstrate a high level of commitment to maintain community safety and the ability to operate deniably before they will be considered for advanced electronic punishment training. Electronic punishment training is beyond the scope of this manual. The organization is very fortunate in that we have been able to recruit top specialists to back up field operations people. Psychologists are the key to finding ways to maximize feelings of stress and hopelessness in the target and degrading the target's health for many individual, quote, minor, invasive punishment acts. Technicians in all fields, telecommunications, electric, power, building electric and alarm systems, and utility employees in all fields use their positions to inflict many absolutely, quote, normal-looking problems on targets on an ongoing basis. And of course, the services of many skilled locksmiths are invaluable in this. As a community-based agent, CBA, you will have the privilege of working with a team capable of delivering better, quote, justice than the official system. Number 2, surveillance. Surveillance is the foundation of all operations. Both community-based agents, CBA, visual surveillance, and advanced electronic surveillance are used. This chapter will cover only local agent visual surveillance. Your local lead agent will schedule surveillance watchers for each target in the community. Every target will have at least one CBA watching them at all times, even while at home and asleep. Each CBA surveillance team will be given a cell phone number for reporting target actions and movement to the Local Control Center, CC. Actions to be reported include, but are not limited to, target turns lights on to start the day. Target uses toilet or shower. Target exits residence. Target drives away. Target arrives at work. Or target shops or visits any other establishment or location. Target arrives home. Target eats meal at home or in restaurant. Target engages in sexual activity. Target turns lights off at the end of the day. Target turns lights on in the middle of the night. Target travels out of town. Some of these observations will be performed by the Electronic Corps, EC, but CBA should attempt to make and report as many detailed observations of target activity as possible. The reason such detail is necessary is that the punishment phase of active surveillance requires that supervisors customize each punishment action to match the personality of the target, and the need to make each punishment action appear to be, quote, life's normal breaks. One important punishment function of surveillance is to sensitize the target. Targets are never told they are under surveillance or being punished. Instead, close active surveillance and other activities happening far too frequently to be written off as, quote, life's normal breaks will eventually cause the target to realize they are under surveillance and punishment. As a community-based agent, CBA, you will be given specific instructions on exactly when, where, and how to carry out punishment actions. As long as you carry out punishment instructions exactly as given, there is no way the target will be believed if they complain, and you will not be exposed to risk of action by law enforcement. How well the punishment actions work depends on how accurate and complete your reports are in many situations. The Control Center, CC, acquires access to properties or apartments immediately next to the target's homes or apartments. Because Electronic Corps has through-the-wall surveillance and punishment equipment, they will be reporting target activity along with community-based agents. In a typical setup, CBAs may be posted in parked cars while the target is home, or apartment can be observed overnight, for example. In this setup, the CBA in the car may be instructed to call using walkie-talkie style cell phones, another CBA or team waiting or patrolling by a car nearby to follow the target, or you may be assigned to follow the target yourself. You will receive instructions from your local center as to following the target. Targets in transit may be either covertly or visibly followed. When in doubt, hang back a bit and contact the center for instructions, as targets in transit can present many unanticipated situations. The center will always have the target's position monitored, so if the target gives the CBA the slip, it will assign another appropriate community-based agent to pick up the target at the earliest opportunity. Be sure to notify the control center immediately if you lose the target. When applying the visible following of a target, marking the target uncomfortable because of your presence, you will be given instructions as to when to break off the following. Another CBA or CBA team may pick up the visible following, but once you have broken away, they advise that you are clear and ready for the next assignment. Part 3. Intercepts. Intercepts are where community-based agents will appear to, quote, just coincidentally, cross paths on foot with the target. Once the target has been sensitized to the point of realizing they are under surveillance and punishment, they will recognize and be made appropriately uncomfortable by the simple act of multiple CBAs, quote, just happening to cross paths with them. Your local control center will instruct you as to how you will be cued to perform an intercept. Often you will have an on-site supervisor, OSS, position you and give you hand signals as to when to start your movement to intercept the target. Because targets moving about aren't always totally predictable, the success of CBA intercepts depends heavily on the electronic corps, who have means of monitoring the exact whereabouts of every target, and through computer programs predict exactly when and where a target will be as they move about the community. Your local OSS has a special means of receiving instant, silent instructions for the center. 1. Intercepting CBAs may be asked to perform one of the following forms of intercept. Simple path crossing, requiring the target to take evasive action to avoid collision. Multiple CBAs sometimes perform this several times a day during a single outing by a target. On foot, walking for an extended period of time, opposite side of the street from walking target. Arriving at a place known to be a favorite of the target and simply occupying that place just as the target is about to arrive. Restaurants, parks, public facility seating, even bus seats are examples. Sometimes just, quote, hanging out in such a location at times and places where people don't ordinarily do that. Smoking, coin jingling, whistling, or toe tapping near the target at a location where the target is known to stand as to wait for the bus, or standing right behind a target at a water fountain. A group, as many as a dozen CBAs, may be assigned to arrive at a store just ahead of the target and form a queue ahead of the target, spending time buying lottery tickets to delay the target when the target is very tired and eager to get home after work, for example, or in a hurry. Community-based agents may be assigned to leave a next-door home or apartment exactly the same time as the target, repeatedly. Alternatively, a CBA may intercept the target a short way before home and arrive at exactly the same time as the target. While these may seem like trivial acts, keep in mind that the target will have these, quote, trivial things happen every single day, and repeated intercepts like these will force the target to always watch for such acts, essentially ensuring the target never, quote, has a nice day. This is the goal, to ensure the target's punishment. Similar intercept operations are performed with vehicles. The center can schedule these every day. The target commutes, and both to and from work. Vehicle intercepts are particularly effective when the target sees the same vehicle in an intercept convoy both in the morning and in the evening commute. Because vehicle intercepts can be dangerous, CBA assigned to vehicle intercept duty must successfully complete a special training course prior to actual assignment. Here are some examples of vehicle intercepts a community-based agent can expect to be assigned. Parking so as to prevent a target's leaving a parking area and then disappearing. Parking commercial vehicles often near target's home with something unusual about these vehicles, such as there's no need for that trade, or just unmarked white vans to make the target think the van is there to conduct surveillance. Simple following, or leading a short distance, but every day. Doing this both during target commutes and then other times make the target very uncomfortable. Passing as side street stop sign and then stopping an uncomfortable distance into oncoming traffic just as target is about to arrive at the side street, causing the target to have to slam on their brakes. This requires control center assistance and prompting by walkie-talkie style cell phones. For a CBA vehicle convoy, boxing in the target during a commute, forcing the target to travel at a lower speed than the target wants to travel. In some locations, the center will supply special license plates to CBA vehicles with short words which have special meaning to the target. For a CBA convoy, and where the target is at location and time, where traffic is normally very sparse, cause heavy traffic, forcing the target to notice. The ultimate vehicle intercept is the staged accident. This can be very dangerous and is only assigned to very senior agents. However, it is possible to stage an accident so only the target knows it was staged. This is an excellent means of punishment where a target has committed a serious offense specifically against secret services by revealing their criminality to the public. Generally, staged accidents are done in jurisdictions where police strongly support the operations so that the CBA driver is protected. Part 4. Physical sabotage. Physical sabotage is an especially effective form of punishment when it is carefully limited to low-value items, below the value where police take the report seriously. For example, burning a target's house down or even stealing an expensive appliance would bring official investigators into the picture, so that is not done. Sabotage producing extreme safety hazards is generally not suitable for operations because of the potential for bringing official investigators to an accident scene. So while damaging the brake system of a target's vehicle is not allowed for community-based agents, CBAs, draining some of the oil, transmission fluid, or radiator antifreeze is allowed, but not all of it. The goal is to make it look as if the target is negligent in maintaining fluid levels and generally not causing a catastrophic failure that non-targets might see as sabotage. It is very important to apply punishment by way of a large number of small valuable sabotage acts, because that makes it look like the target is forgetful exaggerating, or in some cases, even delusional. If they complain about many cases of small value damage, the target's associates will simply refuse to believe that anyone but the target is responsible. Sabotage is very important in that it lets the target know they are totally helpless to stop it and can't even complain about it effectively without appearing mentally ill. The organization is very fortunate in that some people hearing about sabotage from a target did the sabotage themselves, quote, to get attention. Sabotage is applied at the target's home, workplace, and on their vehicle. This requires the assistance of locksmiths and alarm technicians. Your local control center will supply this help and will bring specialists in from a distance in the case of rural areas. Here are some examples of sabotage that a community-based agent, CBA, may be assigned to carry out. Entering a vehicle or home and changing control and radio settings. Replacing window washer fluid with water, possibly destroying the system in winter. Scratching the paint on target's vehicle, scratching furniture and valuables. Tire sabotage, from removing some air right up to slashing a sidewall if authorized by the center. Simulating a break-in, electric window heater strips. Cutting off the four-way flasher button. Removing substantial amounts of oil, transmission fluid, or antifreeze, but not enough to cause catastrophic failure. Moving things around inside the vehicle to show the target someone got in. Unlocking the vehicle and leaving it unlocked, possibly even with the door open. Small cuts to car's upholstery. Unlocking the target's front or back door and leaving it ajar while the target is away, even at midnight at New Year for Y2 hour. Moving furniture or carpets around fairly frequently to show the target someone was there. Stealing low-value items, especially items like scissors, which can be easily misplaced. Keeping them until the target replaces the item, then return the missing item, often into a place the target checked. Stealing important papers, especially those which will cost money to replace. Stealing irreplaceable photographs. While a target is at work, remove mail from their box and toss it around, repeatedly making wall pictures crooked. Setting clocks to the wrong time. Repeatedly dumping consumable supplies, e.g. coffee, to make the target think they are no longer capable of managing their supplies well. Starting small rips in new clothing, which are widened on repeated visits. Ripping crotches out of the target's underwear, or stealing finest underwear, swimsuits, etc. Replacing clothing with similar items which are too small for the target, like for children, which the target does not have. Ironing inside button flags over, making buttoning the shirt or top difficult. Carefully working the tip of a knife through seams in any air mattress or cushion the target may own, including replacements on a daily basis. Breaking zippers in clothes and bags, perhaps by pulling out a tooth or two. Shoving a knife through the soles of waterproof boots. At work, removing screws from the target's office chair, or at home dinner table, leaving only one screw of 4 left to tilt the table with china. At work, damaging or destroying, if not extremely obvious, a target's work from a previous day. For example, the computer is broken again, possibly worse. At work, replacing current copies of computer files with an older copy. Particularly serious if target is a computer programmer. At work, where some employees are or can be recruited to be community-based agents, set up, quote, mistaken deliveries of heavy goods which block the target's office. At work, if the target is responsible for parts of the operation which can be sabotaged, do so repeatedly, just as the target starts eating lunch or is about to leave for home. At work, where the target is responsible for materials that can't be locked up, sabotage or with special permission from the control center, steal the material. Thefts have to be carefully considered and authorized by your local center, unless you have authorization. Do not steal. One particularly effective type of theft is to remove small value, but often used items from the target's premises. Once the target has been observed purchasing a replacement, the item is returned. This not only causes the target to spend money uselessly, it also imposes a feeling of total helplessness on the target. Number 5. Sabotaging the target's reputation. Sabotaging the target's reputation and all that goes along with it, such as ability to earn a living, business, and personal relationships, is a very special operations category. Newer community-based agents will not be assigned to, quote, engineer the method, but will assist in passing rumors, which are the main means of destroying a target's public image. Rumors consist mainly of lies. However, in order to secure cooperation of specific members of the community to participate in the punishment phase, additional information keyed to appeal to the patriotic or community service sense of such community members may be used as well. As mentioned earlier, the organization has many top psychologists and psychiatrists on permanent staff at headquarters, and some in larger population centers. It is their responsibility to design the campaign to destroy the target's reputation. These people listed below can be approached and given information which will cause them to make the target's association with them uncomfortable or break off all contact with the target. Business contacts, supervisors, co-workers, casual social contacts such as clubs a target may be a member of or groups that frequents a bar where the target is a patron, friends, local fraternal organizations. They are motivated by the public service and are an excellent source of assistance in keeping the target under surveillance and participating in the punishment phase as well. Store staffs at places the target shops, target's landlord, target's neighbors, tradesmen who are likely to service the target's home, car, or business, bus drivers on the target's route, local children, city employees including emergency medical technicians and ambulances, homeless shelter staff and residents where applicable, family members. Surprisingly, many are ready to believe negative information, especially personnel at places the target applies for work. How intensely these sabotage operations are carried out is governed mainly by the need to prevent the target from learning that the negative rumors are being spread. The goal is to keep the negative information covertly flowing in the community in such a way that those receiving the information aren't likely to tell the target. One might think that friends and family members would instantly notify the target and side with the target. Fortunately, experience shows that co-opting friends and family is surprisingly easy once they are informed about the target's criminal record. The headquarters staff have developed techniques which by and large prevent that, but those techniques are beyond the scope of this manual. It's suffice to say that it is possible to apply, quote, incentives which cause even people closest to the target to cooperate. These incentives are applied by specialists from our organization at higher than the local level. For the community level CBA, the work of sabotaging the reputation of the target takes the form of simply carrying out instructions from your control center as to what you say, to whom, how, and when. Number 6, discrediting targets. While the powerful silent support of operations by the justice and psychiatric systems have been sufficient to prevent the target from informing the public, the area of discrediting targets is an ongoing activity. Like sabotaging the target's reputation, discrediting their public statements, websites, media appearances, letters to the editor, and the like, are done under the supervision of psychologists and psychiatrists on their staff. If a community-based agent, CBA, has a good track record of intelligently carrying out assignments and has access to a computer, the CBA may apply to the local control center for assignment to discredit work. Excellent communication skills are required. Some of the activities CBAs carry out under supervision are monitoring message boards, blogs, and open media like indie media for targeted posts. This is normally done in special shifts and under scheduling and control at a higher level than your local CC. This monitoring is assisted by blog scanning software, which will detect and instantly flag posts relating to activities. The CBA doing this work will immediately reply with comments like, quote, someone isn't taking their medication, or, quote, target name has provided absolutely no evidence. The CBA will then report the post to higher level supervisors for possibly more detailed responses. Monitoring newspapers in your area for letters to the editor regarding activities. Most editors and many reporters have been recruited and are willing to assist in keeping the important work of monitoring and neutralizing quiet. But once in a while, a letter to the editor will slip through. In this case, comments like, quote, someone isn't taking their medication are not an appropriate response. Transcribe and forward such a letter to the editor to the supervisor, along with your proposed response. The supervisor may edit your response and will assist in ensuring your response is printed. Your supervisor will have staff monitoring upcoming talk show appearances by targets. While most talk show hosts, even those somewhat sympathetic to targets, have received discrediting information and often will not host targets, some targets do manage to get on the air. In this case, your supervisor will assign you to call in on the show and instruct you as to appropriate things to say, such as rebutting the target's claims, pretending to be a target, calling and making, quote, wacko statements such as, quote, UFOs are harassing me, or pulling the discussion away from real activities and to something like, quote, media mind control. Agents who have excellent persuasive communication skills can be assigned with careful coaching and preparation from supervisors to pretend to be a target and get on talk shows known to air targets as the guests. These opportunities are great ways to discredit targets by talking about UFOs, things like black helicopters following you, foil beanies, satellites parked just above your home, and perhaps even normally considered, quote, paranormal, like seeing things that appear and disappear. These discrediting topics must be a total surprise to the host, only mentioned after the show is in progress. CBA can casually describe the, quote, odd behavior exhibited by the target as a result of around-the-clock activities to the target's neighbors. The idea is to focus the neighbor's attention to the target's behavior, hinting that maybe the target is mentally ill. This is easy once the target has developed suspicion that everyone is out to get him or her. It is a special, quote, honor for CBAs to be chosen for target discreditation work. Number 7. Trade-related punishment. This section will give some examples of ways community-based agents with specific trades or situations in the community can apply deniable punishment to targets. Underground utility crews, where the management has been recruited, schedule messy, noisy maintenance at the target's home or business if the target runs a business. This can include having the street torn up for extended periods or repeatedly. Funding for unneeded work is available from headquarters. Taxi drivers can delay arriving when called by the target, especially when going to the airport. Bus drivers have leeway, in nasty weather for example, to stop one stop away from a waiting target and wait there for perhaps 5 minutes to cause a target to miss connections with the next bus or train. This is especially effective when the target, exposed to bad weather, can see the bus waiting up the street for no apparent reason or not stopping at all at your bus stop. Repair tradespeople can keep, quote, getting it wrong, necessitating many recalls, be late, be messy, overbill the target, and even damage things which were okay. This is especially effective in the automobile repair trade. Medical lab technicians can substitute blood samples or otherwise falsify results, making the target appear to have absolutely no reason for their complaints. Police can frequently pull the target over for frivolous reasons. Telephone and cable TV technicians can reroute legitimate calls to the target's number in large numbers, and this will cause the target to get very angry with these totally innocent callers. Store staff where the target shops frequently can be instructed to remove items the target is known to need when a target is known to be coming. Store management can stop ordering a target's favorite items. Restaurants and food delivery services can tell the target they are out of an item known to be a favorite of the target. The key to successful punishment by tradespeople is that while the target is very likely to know they are being punished, these punishment acts must appear to the general public as, quote, life's normal breaks. Number 8. Target's home. Punishing the target at the target's home is essential for effectiveness of Secret Service operations. If the target were punished in the community but was allowed sanctuary in their home, the creation of a prison without walls would not be complete. One of the very first things the Control Center, CC, will arrange is for homes or apartments adjacent to the target's home to be occupied by both community-based agents, CBAs, and members in the Electronic Operations Manual. Because operations are carried out 24/7 in shifts, homes and apartments which are leased or owned by staff are not used as dwellings. The lease or deed will bear either an entirely false name or the name of a senior staff member whose actual home will be at a different location. Some adjacent homes or apartments are occupied by neighbors of the target who have offered to cooperate in punishment of the target. The initial contact of neighbors to determine their willingness to cooperate is done by senior staff, and incentives to cooperate are often tendered. Here are some commonly used punishment activities which are carried out by CBAs and cooperating neighbors of the target. Activities are rotated among the choices, but at least one of them is applied daily. Noise. Noise must be of a type which the general public deems, quote, normal. Remember that the goal is to have the target aware they are being punished but not be able to convince anyone else that is the case. Observe local noise curfews, but plenty of punishment can occur outside noise curfews. The target must not have easy cause to involve law enforcement. Examples. Start leaf blower. Times precisely when the target attempts to enjoy their yard or when EC operators cue the CBA that the target is trying to nap. Loud music from neighboring home. This is an excellent action as it is common. Time it so every time the target opens a window, the music starts. The timing makes the point it is intentional punishment. EC operator can apply music in adjacent apartments with exceptionally powerful bass directed at the target's unit. Frequent squealing of tires near target's home. In apartments, frequent drilling into scrap of wood or masonry held against the target's wall, floors, or ceiling as if working. Alternatively, hammering, especially effective when cued by AC operators the target is attempting to nap. Tossing golf or tennis balls against the target's home, when the target is known to be trying to fall asleep. Ideal for cooperating neighbor children. Frequent use of sirens near the target's home. Many emergency services employees have a strong sense of community service and willingness to cooperate in this. Or by people posing as Jehovah's Witnesses. Knocking on the door for frivolous, nonsensical, wrong address reasons, especially effective when the target is in bed or having a meal. Trash. Leave trash in the target's yard. Frequently, but CC staff will assist in scheduling this so that the target can't quite have a case in which law enforcement will act. Terrifying the target's pet. This requires entry while the target is away from home for an extended period and must be scheduled by CC Electronic Corps. Operators can render a dog or cat passive for safe entry of the community-based agents by electromagnetic beam. Wounding or killing the target's pet. Rarely used. Scheduled when the target has acted in a way so as to deserve special punishment, like divulging the name of a criminally acting secret agent. Killing domestic animals or wildlife and leaving them on the target's doorstep. Scheduled when the target has acted in a way so as to deserve special punishment. Where the target owns substantial land, noxious activities can be arranged and built for next to the property. In one case, a dump, an auto racetrack, and a prison were built adjacent to a target who owned a large farming area of natural beauty. While this is rare, it does illustrate commitment to delivering punishment to those, quote, deserving of it. Cooperating police departments can visibly watch the target's home, possibly being parked in front of the home when the target returns, repeatedly. Police officers who refuse to take complaint of harassment and sabotage of the target, who they label, quote, disturbed, really are not allowed to make diagnoses as only medical doctors can do so, but may get a raised price for their unlawfulness afterwards. Police follow orders by e.g. Stay Behind, secret military-led organization created by the CIA after World War II in NATO countries. They give orders in secrecy to police, media, legal system, and judges, etc., thus being above parliaments and governments as demonstrated. For example, in Norway, when in 1957 the chief of Stay Behind, Sven Alestad, gave the security code of Norway to M16, British intelligence, in the UK acting on its own. We have to trust our allies, he had said. Today the security code of Norway is kept in Wales. Originally, Stay Behind was created with good intentions to fight communism. Today it is out of control and a new, much bigger Stay Behind 2 is active in Norway. The Stay Behind logo resembles the NATO logo. In Italy, Stay Behind was called Gladio 2 and dealt with terrorism secretly in Western Europe. It was responsible, for example, for the kidnapping and killing of Prime Minister Aldo Moro in 1978, while the blame was pinned on the Red Brigade. Today, enemies and communists of NATO is the opposition. On November 22, 1990, the European Union forbade Operation Gladio, but although Norway follows most EU decisions, this one is omitted. Italy and Belgium had terror actions by Stay Behind, and when the organization ceased to exist, the terror operations also ceased to exist. In Norway, Stay Behind is called E14. What was its role in Norway's terror actions, if any? Some have tried to get control of Norway's Stay Behind armies already years ago. This is from the late Chief Medical Officer of Northern Finland and targeted individual, Dr. Ronnie Lena killed. All right, so that is the whole chapter on the Gangstalking manual. It is absolutely crazy. If you are a targeted individual, I'm sure that you can relate to 90%, if not 100, of those tactics being used on you. I know I sure can. And it validated a few things that I had suspicion of, but could not actually prove because everyone thinks that you're crazy or they pretend like they think that you're crazy. So I'm going to continue with content like this. I'm going to show and expose everything that I find and relate it to my experiences so I can further validate the experience of others who are going through this situation or similar. This is not only chosen individuals, it could also be whistleblowers, anybody that the government or, parts of the government deem as a threat to their agenda. So mostly chosen ones, but also, any kind of whistleblowers. So I'm going to end this one here, and I hope that y'all got something good out of it. Please like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this. God loves you. I love you. Stay prayed up, and I hope y'all have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.